Hello, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. For today's episode of the DM Guide and Fixing D20 Modern, we are taking a look at another advanced class that, like the Investigator before it, it's not terribly bad, at least not in just the base numerical stats, but none of its class abilities really do as much as they should or could to help you become better at your intended role. And for today, we are taking a look at the Infiltrator. This is your sneaky, infiltraty, stealthy kind of cat burglar sort of character. This is the person that does second story work. They scale into the building, they disable the alarms, they crack the passcodes or have the passcodes handy, they lift key cards and ID badges off of targets unawares, and if they do engage in combat, it's likely because they get the drop on their opponents, render them unconscious ideally, taking what they need from them, hiding the bodies somewhere, securing them so that they can't raise an alarm, and then disabling any other alarms, any physical or electronic countermeasures that might be in place to prevent them from taking what they need or getting the information that they want. And like I said, the class abilities here, they're not terrible. One or two are actually all right, but they don't do enough to make you better at your intended role. So let's go ahead and just dive right on into this. To begin with, the requirements for getting into this class, you need to have a base attack bonus of +2, a hide of 6 ranks, and move silently 6 ranks. And then you get a d8 for your hit points, and action points you get at the same rate of 6 plus 1/2 your character level, rounded down. You get a really solid number of skill points at 7 plus your intelligence modifier. And your class skills are all the things that you absolutely want for this kind of character. You have balance, climb, disable device, disguise, escape artist, hide, investigate, jump, knowledge of art, business, current events, pop culture, and streetwise, listen, move silently, profession, read and write languages, search, sleight of hand, speak language, spot, and tumble. Your base attack bonus is all right. The progression's not bad. It's you start off at 0 and you end up at 5 at the end of all 10 levels. Fortitude saves are on a very terrible progression, right along with will saves, starting off at 0 and ending at 3s. Your reflex saves are crazy good. You first level in, you'll get a 2, and by the time you hit level 10, you get a +7 out of them. On top of the fact that if you went straight from fast hero into this class, then your reflex saves are going to be amazing, and you work really well in this regard with the previous defensive talent tree abilities out of the fast hero. Your defense bonus is also really, really good. You get a +1 on your first level, and you end up at a +7 by the time you hit level 10. And your reputation bonus is all right. You start off at a 1 and you end at a 4. Not bad. Not bad, especially as far as reputation bonuses go. But as always, it's the class abilities that we are most keenly interested in. Those numerical values for the other stats, those are important, especially that defense bonus and the reflex saves there. Those do so much for you. But the abilities are primarily how you're going to be affecting the game overall. And to begin with, the infiltrators at level 1 get the ability Sweep. An infiltrator knows how to size up an area and get the lay of the land in a single sweep of his or her eyes. This sweep provides a +4 circumstance bonus on spot checks and covers an area out to 30 feet away from the infiltrator. The infiltrator can use this bonus at the start of an encounter. Anything not concealed can be spotted in a sweep with a successful check of DC 10. The difficulty for concealed or less obvious threats is equal to their hide check result. So that's an interesting ability. It's in this idea, your infiltrators, your cat burglars, these people who go in and do the breaking and entering and try to do so quietly. The idea is that you're going to get everything figured out ahead of time. As whatever you don't have figured out ahead of time, once you're in there, just by passing your experienced eyes over the area, you get an idea of what's there. You can pick up on hidden things, but The thing is that the thing with this ability is it's just a bonus to your spot skill. Spot or well, just you're basically just using spot and you're getting a +4 bonus out of it, and it only works for up the things that are up to 30 feet away, which kind of makes sense, especially if you're dealing with something hidden, like say a hidden compartment on a desk, um, or anything hidden behind a bookshelf or painting, things like that. The classic hidden safe behind the painting. You probably wouldn't spot that from like 100 feet away or even 50 feet away. And 30 feet's actually a decent distance to notice those kinds of things at, but really, you're just making a spot check and you're getting a +4 bonus out of a spot check. This really doesn't do too terribly much for you, especially for a class ability. And then moving on from there, we have at second level improvised implements. And that's at the second level, the Infiltrator no longer takes a -4 penalty when wielding an improvised weapon. Also, the Infiltrator is able to make do without proper equipment in certain circumstances. The Infiltrator no longer takes a -4 penalty when using climb and disable device skills without the proper tools. So this is kind of a MacGyver skill a little bit here, and the idea is like you say you have a crowbar to crack open into things. That could technically count as an improvised weapon. I would say it works like a club, but whatever. Say it counts as an improvised weapon. Well, because of this ability, you don't take that -4 penalty when you're in combat. Fine, that's not bad. That's decent. And the fact that this ability removes your penalty when using climb and disable device skills without proper tools. I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but you're an infiltrator. You're supposed to be prepared for this. You should have the tools on hand. You should have some kind of even the most basic and bare bones toolkit to get this kind of thing done. Yes, you're traveling light, but you can do a lot with some needle nose pliers and a Swiss Army knife. So it's an interesting ability. I get what they were going for here, but I still don't think this is quite enough, especially since, you're going to be a level 5 character at this point, and you're specializing in a particular role. From there, you get bonus feats at 3rd, 6th, and 9th level. The Infiltrator gains bonus feats to be drawn from this list, and the list is Acrobatic, Alertness, Armor Proficiency Light, Athletic, Attentive, Brawl, Cautious, Defensive Martial Arts, Dodge, Elusive Target, Meticulous, Mobility, Nimble, Renown, Run, and Stealthy. Now, feats like Stealthy, which give you a +2 bonus on your hide and move silently, kind of a waste of a feat, but there's so many skill bonus feats. I mean, you'd end up rewriting half of the feat book list if I remember right. So it's not a bad list. There's some things in here. Armor proficiency, if you don't have that already, taking armor proficiency light will be helpful for you, since light armor should, for the most part, allow you to get maximum usage out of your dexterity score bonus, unless you get something stupidly high like a 25, 24, which not impossible to build up to that point, but that's a whole nother thing. At level 4, you get improved evasion. If an infiltrator of 4th level or higher is exposed to any effect that normally allows the character to attempt a reflex saving throw for half damage, the infiltrator suffers no damage if he or she makes a successful saving throw, and only half damage on a failed save. Improved evasion can only be used when wearing light armor or no armor. For an infiltrator who does not have evasion, see the fast hero class description, improved evasion counts as evasion for the purpose of meeting the prerequisites on the fast hero's defensive talent tree. So if for some reason you didn't take improved evasion out of the defensive talent tree, which you should, because improved speed is it's useless in comparison in a world where fireballs, explosives, automatic weapons fire, all of these things can subject you to reflex saves. you should be taking that, and this will help count towards that. If you already have evasion, well then congratulations, you now have improved evasion. So, uh, there you go. Fantastic. Great thing to have. And this is actually a really good ability. And then we come around to 5th level and we get skill mastery. And at 5th level, an infiltrator selects a number of skills from his or her class list equal to 3 plus his or her intelligence modifier. When making a check using one of these skills, the infiltrator may take 10 even if stress or distractions would normally prevent him or her from doing so. Now, that can be useful. That's not bad, but I don't know, skills like this I've never been a big fan of, or at least abilities like this that affect skills in this fashion. I don't like that too terribly much. Having a decent intelligence score is a good thing, but it starts to it can start to affect the builds for your characters in certain ways, because you're a fast hero. This is a class and the fast hero class depends on dexterity, and the infiltrator class definitely depends on dexterity as well. So when you're doing this, having a decent intelligence score is a good thing, but maybe you want to have a constitution score or a good charisma score, things like that. Well, this makes that a little bit less flexible, because now this is a class ability that draws from your intelligence score as well, which means you want to lean more towards that. And that makes sense because you do have a good skill list, but your class is already giving you 7 skill points per level, and that can help you specialize well enough in all of these different technical and stealth abilities. And since we're already looking at condensing some of the skills down, like listen, spot, and search, all down into perception, it does reduce the effectiveness of something like skill mastery, and I like keeping things a little bit more flexible. It's not a bad ability by any stretch, but it's not great either. And taking 10, even in situations where stress might prevent you from doing so, I mean, by the time you're at 5th level here, you're an 8th level character. If you've been specializing in your skills already and just focusing on building them up, you're probably going to do just fine on your rolls to begin with, because D20 Modern is one of those games where if you're tinkering around and understand how to stack different bonuses and do a bit of min-maxing, you can get some crazy good skill rolls pretty early on. So, that also reduces the overall effectiveness of this ability. So, it's not great, but it's not too terrible either. And then for 7th level here, we have improvised weapon damage. And at 7th level, the infiltrator's attacks with improvised weapons deal more damage. The infiltrator treats an improvised weapon as if it were one size category larger than it is for the purposes of determining the damage it deals. Kind of cool. It's interesting in and of itself. It stacks with the previous ability of being able to use improvised weapons without penalty, but I don't know. Again, if you're an infiltrator, you're already prepared ahead of time. You have something like a sap on hand, or a taser, or cattle prod, something that is going to stun and render opponents fairly helpless fairly quickly, and allowing you to zip tie them. Any number of other implements, because you should be coming into a situation as prepared as possible. I mean, that's how thieves and burglars do these kinds of things. They look for vulnerabilities, or especially if you're going with something like a target you're going to rob, an important one, not just somebody's house, but like a target with some kind of security, whether it's a higher end electronic security on, say, a jewelry store or something like that, and you want to do the job quietly. You're going to research and study ahead of time. You're going to find out who locks up, what everybody's shifts and schedules look like, who do they have for security, does security get bored, does this guy on the second shift for security, is he lax in his duties, who can you talk to, who can you do a little bit of social engineering with, can you scout the place out, can you figure out what kind of an alarm system they have, can you research how to defeat that, things like that. So you're going to be going into things ideally with some preparation ahead of time, so you know exactly where to go, what to do, how you need to do it, and then get out quickly and quietly without too many people becoming aware. So it's an interesting ability. I think it's a useful one, but it's the improvisation that bothers me a little bit. I feel like it clashes a little bit, especially since it's something that focuses a little bit more on combat and improving a combat ability. It feels too direct and confrontational, in my eyes at least. So, yeah. And going on from there, we have improved sweep kicking in at level 8. And an infiltrator's ability to get the lay of the land improves. Now the infiltrator not only spots potential perils with a successful check, he or she can determine the relative strength of these dangers. A successful check relates the danger's strength compared to the infiltrator. Stronger, higher level or hit dice. On par, same level or hit dice. Or weaker, lower level or hit dice. It's a threat assessment ability, and again, it's an interesting ability, but I don't know that this really fits all that well. I don't like this. This doesn't really do a lot to improve your abilities as an infiltrator. I mean, you should be figuring out a lot of these things beforehand, like I said before. And not only that, but is that why you're there, to go in and scope out the security from the inside there like this? I don't think so. There should be something else here. The threat assessment stuff, I mean, I don't like it. I don't like the ability. I don't think this actually improves your ability as an infiltrator. This doesn't improve your ability to slip into places, to disable devices, to get around different things, to lift important items off targets. This just tells you this guy's weaker, this gal's stronger, this person is an even match for me. I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. I feel like you could do that better with a perception check using, I don't know, or a sense motive check, some kind of a modified skill roll to try to assess if somebody is putting on airs, are they actually more experienced, things like that. And then the last ability here is Without a Trace. It's the capstone ability at level 10. When an infiltrator uses any of the following skills: balance, climb, disable device, escape artist, hide, move silently, and sleight of hand, those using investigate, listen, search, or spot to detect the infiltrator's activity take a -4 penalty. Here's the thing. You're a level 10 character. At the minimum, by the time you get this, you're level 13. If you went 3 levels of Fast Hero and jumped straight into this class, you're going to have a fairly significant skill roll by this time with most of those skills. The -4 penalty doesn't do a lot for you, and this is terrible as a level 10 capstone ability. This isn't good at all. This shouldn't be here. This might have been better as 5th level, 7th level even would have been more acceptable, but this is not a good level 10 ability for an advanced class that specializes on these kinds of things. This was not put together very well. I feel like it felt like it did fit a kind of a theme. You could see the unified whole here through all of these abilities, but it doesn't work very well. This is definitely built like a scout class, but I don't know. I think this can be done better, because there are plenty of other classes that you could take. I can think of a couple other advanced classes that you could take that would actually make you better at infiltrating and doing most of these things more effectively with better class abilities. But That'll be a subject for the fix video for the Infiltrator. We'll go over what I am proposing, I'll relate it all to you, and we'll get that figured out then. But for now, if you enjoyed today's video, go on down there to the comments section, hit the like button, let me know what you thought, what you disagreed with, even if you disliked the video still. Hit the dislike button, go on down there in the comments, and let's go ahead and get this discussion underway. And if you did enjoy today's video and you're looking to have a little bit more, well, there's going to be 2 more videos popping up over this way. One is something determined by almighty Google and its algorithms to be something you'll enjoy. The other video is one that I've just done recently, and I think you might enjoy that as well. Or if this hasn't been your first video here at the Gamer's Den, well, there must be something you're enjoying, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button down there. We'd be more than happy to have you as regulars here. But until then, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.